everyone, I'm Don Pratt, host of a show here on Rogers TV where we give you a perspective of police in your community. Welcome to Policing York Region. We've had so many opportunities on the show to talk about safety in our community, and today we're going to talk a little bit about road safety with Sergeant Karen Hodge from the Road Safety Unit.
Hi.
Karen, thank you so much for being on the show.
My pleasure.
You've been here before, and you know, at the end of every show, I always say the same thing, like we've got so many more things we can talk about. So
yeah.
Hopefully we can continue that conversation.
I'm sure we can. We sure can. Yeah, so it's holiday time, right?
Yeah, we're getting into that season.
Yep.
Snow's starting to fly.
Yep.
Maybe our driving habits need to change a little bit.
Yeah, so, you know, I drive our roads every day as
Sure.
well. I drive to work and back and forth.
Yeah.
We really want to make sure that when people are going out on the roads after either snow or while it's snowing, slush, rain, whatever it is, that they're slowing their car down, drive to the conditions. You know, don't assume you can keep driving at 120 like you can on drive roads.
And you need to recognize that the vehicle that you're driving, whether you're equipped with good snow tires or not, it's still a heavy vehicle.
Yep.
If the road conditions have changed,
Yep.
it will take you longer to stop.
Absolutely, 100%. There's no doubt about that, which is why when the winter weather is upon us, we start to see a whole lot more crashes in York Region than we do in the summer months. We can predict when we see the weather what we're going to start seeing on the roads. But it's interesting to see there's some areas where people actually do change their driving behaviors and their habits according to the weather conditions, and we don't see the crashes. I mean, most people don't crash.
Yeah.
Most people don't crash during a snowstorm, but there's a percentage that do. What is the characteristic of that? Those people that are crashing, they're probably not changing their driving behavior, or you know, their vehicle isn't, the maintenance on their vehicle isn't up to date to be able to, you know, react under different
to the snow
conditions.
tires. Yeah. Make sure you've got them on, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that you've cleaned your windows off. This is a big thing for me. I know it is for you too.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. So a pet peeve. You're driving down the road and you're watching snow, ice, slush flying off of somebody else's vehicle.
Yes.
It's not just a distraction for the people that are following. It's a distraction for everybody, right?
Yeah, and how about the people who not only don't clear off their windshields, but they don't clear off their brake lights,
Yes.
their headlights. They are putting themselves at significant risk for having a collision and for someone hitting them because they can't see them because they're covered in snow and brake lights aren't being
Gotta love that guy
visible.
that cleans out that little patch in the windshield.
Yep, I love those people. I love those people.
And unfortunately, it does. It does happen, and I guess it's education, right?
It is, and at the end of the day, you know what? We need to sometimes get up 15 minutes earlier on these days to make sure that we can get our vehicle ready to go on the road in these conditions. It's just being a safe driver and making driving a safety priority. Right?
Yeah, both my son and I drive a commercial vehicle that have ladders on the top. If you want to challenge cleaning off a vehicle, it probably I've never timed it, but it probably does take me 20 minutes to do it.
Yeah.
But you'll never see my vehicle going down the road blowing snow or ice.
Right, causing a distraction to other people and other drivers on the road. No, so, you know, as the snow continues to fall and we get into the winter months, we really do encourage people to just take that time, get up a little bit earlier or than normal.
Right.
Because you don't know what the traffic's going to be like, and we don't want people rushing, and we want people taking the time to clean their cars off. And it's just being a good role model for children in our community to show them how to operate a vehicle safely.
And there's a couple of other factors too, right? I mean, when you're dealing with the winter months, obviously, of course, you know, we're talking about snow-laden roads and what have you. So now you're dealing with snowplows on the road. This is also the time of year that we've had school buses out on the road. So there are factors that slow down traffic.
Sure, absolutely. So, you know, I got to get to work on time. You've got to get to work. Everybody has to get to work on time. And what we see is when you get stuck behind a snowplow, you see people passing very unsafely onto oncoming traffic. You know, we suggest that it's probably safest to stay behind that snowplow.
So sometimes common sense prevails, right?
So
if I have a big yellow truck with flashing blue lights in front of me that's clearing the road and salting it in front of me, I'm not thinking that that's the worst place in the world to be.
No, no. And so we really want to encourage people to take that extra time and be safe, because oftentimes you can't see what's around that plow when you pull out to pass, and that's when we see collisions and crashes happen. And the conditions of the road under that snow, we don't know what they're always like.
Fair enough.
If it's fresh snow and it's already iced underneath, we just don't know. And so those plows are out for a reason, and those operators are working really hard to make our roads safe. So we need to respect those drivers as well, because they can't stop those vehicles very quickly either when a car pulls out to pass them and then scoots back in very quickly. So
No, and I guess you're right. Like, we should recognize too that they've got a rather difficult job too. I mean, the snowplow is not typically sent out in the best of weather.
No, it's not. And so those operators those are big machines. I don't know if you've ever been in one.
Yes, yeah.
But it's pretty scary when you're sitting in one of those cabs and there's cars scooting in and out of you, and you've got a large plow, both on the front and the side, and it's difficult to see all of the spots around there.
Yeah. I've never personally driven one, but I can only imagine. I mean, that it's got to be harder to maneuver as it is, just because of the equipment that you have and the salter and
the fact that they're the ones on the poor roads.
Yes.
Right? So I just really encourage people to just be safe, stay behind those plows, give them the opportunity to do their job safely,
Right.
so that they can go home to their families too at the end of the day, and not have a tragedy. Because I can tell you, I don't want my car coming into contact with one of those, because it's going to win.
You lose.
Yeah. So, let's just be respectful of everybody that's out there doing their jobs.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And, we talk about clearing our roads, and there's also the element of people that are clearing their driveways and their parking lots.
Yep.
Keeping that off of the roads.
Yep. Yeah. There's operators out at all hours of the night, making sure that when we wake up in the morning, that we can go about our business safely and without a whole lot of inconvenience. So, steer clear of those operators while they're clearing those parking lots. Don't get in their way. Let them do what they have to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Let them do the things that they need to do. Right.
Yeah.
When we're talking about snow plows and heavy trucks and large vehicles on the road, as much as we're all relatively small vehicle operators, and we have to pay attention to weather conditions and roads and what have you. The larger vehicles as well.
Yeah. Like in York Region, we see a good chunk of larger vehicles traveling our roadways, and as we move through the region, it's important that those drivers are paying attention to their vehicles. Not so much our recreational ones; those seem to get put away for the winter. But I'm talking about your larger commercial vehicles.
Sure.
We want to make sure that the drivers, before they're getting in and hauling their loads throughout the region, that they're doing their circle checks, that they're filling out their logbooks, that they're making sure everything in their vehicle is secured down tightly, because these are all preventable actions, and it's their obligation as well.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It is their obligation driving a commercial motor vehicle.
We had the opportunity of going out to a commercial motor vehicle inspection.
Yep.
They hosted it at Canada's Wonderland, and we got to see some of the best and the worst.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Well, the day that we were there, they pulled off something like 30%.
Yep.
Of the vehicles, which to me was just astronomical. I mean, I don't understand that. Now, that's not to say that all operators aren't. I mean,
there's a lot that
many.
are wonderful.
Yeah, I know many that are in both small and big business with both small and large trucks.
Yeah.
And their trucks are very well maintained.
Yeah.
So we're certainly not saying that everybody.
No.
But there is an element.
There absolutely is, and there are a lot of trucks on our roads. There are a lot of trucks. So on a day when we can pull 30% out of service because of a defect,
Absolutely.
Those defects on a large truck could be devastating.
Absolutely.
Should something go wrong.
Yeah.
And so it's important that drivers are maintaining those vehicles. They're large.
Of
And when things go wrong with them, it's a bad day for everyone.
It most certainly can be.
Yeah. And the other piece, we're kind of switching gears here, but not just drivers in regular motor vehicles, but everyone also needs to put their phones down when they're driving these cars and large trucks.
Yeah.
Everything. We honestly, the phone is such a distraction, and it only takes a second for things to go wrong.
Absolutely.
And so, as we approach the holiday season and into our winter season, really, if I could challenge everyone to just take a 2-week challenge and put your phone away while you're in the car, I think, I think everyone will benefit from that.
On a reporting end of that, Roadwatch.
Yep.
Is a roadwatch.ca. You can go onto YRP.ca.
Yep, YRP.ca.
And there's a roadwatch piece. There's a piece, online reporting.
Yep.
Jot down their information, their license plate number, the color of the car, that kind of thing.
Description of the driver.
And report it.
Yep, absolutely.
It's not to say that the person's going to get charged, but they are going to have.
It's going to be recognized that someone has
Somebody's gonna chat
identified
with
you as
Yeah.
doing something you shouldn't be, that's potentially putting somebody's safety at risk.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think we're going to come back after the break and talk a bit more about the distracted driving. As you know, that's a big piece to this show. So
You betcha.
We'll be right back, folks, with Karen Hodge. Welcome back, everyone, as we continue our conversation with Sergeant Karen Hodge from the traffic unit. And we've been talking about road safety. We want to get into a couple of different parts. We already touched a bit on distracted driving. It's a huge piece.
Yep.
It's a really huge piece. And I got to read from this because I just printed this off this morning. 22 impaired drivers and 81 distracted drivers charged last week just in York region.
Just in York region.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's, Don, I get these every week.
Yeah.
The stats.
Yeah.
And I look at them, and I say to the colleagues sitting in my office, what can we do differently?
Yeah.
What are we missing?
Yep.
Why are people still doing this? When I was in public school, as a little kid, they were telling us, don't drink and drive.
That's right. That's right.
And that was only like 20 years ago, right?
That's right.
So I'm at a loss. I really am at a loss. I chat with our breath techs on a regular basis. And, people, I'm not sure if they just are willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you, the risk is not worth it.
No, it's not.
You know what? You may not get caught this time. You may not get caught the next time. But the next time, you might kill someone. You might kill someone. Or if you're lucky enough, I always say it this way. If you're lucky enough to get caught by us before you kill someone,
that's your lucky day.
That's your lucky day. Because I can tell you from experience, when you're arresting somebody for impaired caused death, they would, if they could turn.
You've just changed a whole lot of worlds.
Yes, and if they could change the last 20 minutes, hour of their life, they would, because people don't set out to do this.
No.
They're just taking risk. And this risk becomes criminal and tragic.
Yes.
And so, I really, people need to plan ahead.
Even as you're talking, you're baffled by it, right?
I really am.
I've talked to other officers, both in your unit and across the region, and it's the same thing. It's like, why?
I don't.
Nobody gets it.
I don't get it. We, I'd like to encourage people to use 911.
Yes.
I often have conversations with people socially about, well, I didn't want to call 911. I don't want to upset the police. It's not that important.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, a suspected impaired driver, whether it be by drugs or by alcohol, is a 911 call to York Regional Police.
And that's something we can speak to.
OPP, to Toronto, wherever you are. There is not one police department that will say you're wasting our time.
No. 911, it's your call.
911, it's your call. You'll get on the line with police and you're going to tell them where you are, what you think you're following, and I can promise you there will be cars on the way to stop that vehicle. And if that person is in fact not impaired, not a big deal.
Yeah, no,
From our end,
absolutely.
we would rather confirm that
Yeah.
they are or they aren't.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
You know, in 2015, we had over 900 calls from citizens in York Region
Yep.
come into us that resulted in charges.
So I'm just reading further down in this media release that I printed off this morning. You know, it said 22 impaired drivers. 11 of those drivers were stopped as a result of calls
Right. Yeah.
from concerned citizens.
We need
it
the
does
eyes
work.
and ears. Yeah, the eyes and
It
ears
does
of
work.
York Region. It's not just our responsibility to maintain the safety of our roads.
No.
We enforce everything, but we share that responsibility with all of the road users.
Yeah.
And we encourage everyone to call us when you think you know someone. Be that person
Of course.
to take safety into your own
Absolutely,
hands,
yeah.
right? We can't be everywhere.
No.
And you know what?
No.
When we show up in a white car with blue and red stripes, people sometimes aren't doing what they were 10 minutes ago, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, over
Yeah,
the,
I suppose habits change once they see the officer walking up to the window.
they can very quickly. So
Yeah.
we encourage everybody, if you know somebody may be drinking and driving, or you observe someone, 911, no one will ever criticize you for doing that. It's a criminal act in progress.
So we've said this before. If of course, we don't want people on their cell phones when they're driving.
Nope.
If it's a crime in progress,
There is
such
an
as impaired
exemption.
driving, obviously safety first.
Yep.
You can't put yourself in harm's way.
Right?
If you need to pull over,
Yep.
pull over. Make
Yep.
that call.
Yeah. Make that
You're
call.
you're not going to get a charge because you're calling 911.
No, if you are on the phone with a police communicator,
Yes.
there's no police officer that is going to give you a ticket if it can be
No.
confirmed that you are on the phone reporting a criminal act.
Yeah.
So, you know, something I always say to my kids, and as a police officer, I do what I do when I'm working, but I do the same thing when I'm not working.
Yes.
When I drive home and I think I'm seeing an impaired driver, I always have this vision in my head of, I will not go to bed tonight
Yeah.
to wake up to news of an impaired crash that involved a car that I thought might have been impaired,
You may have
and I
otherwise
didn't
been
call.
able to stop.
So, you know, I always put myself in that position. Do I
Sure.
want to wake up to that call,
No.
the news in the morning and think, oh my gosh, I should have called?
No.
I always call.
No.
Always call, and that's what I encourage everybody, all my friends, all of our
Absolutely.
community partners to call. And you don't want to be that person to have regret in the morning that you should have called,
No.
because you can't change it.
And we were talking a little bit earlier before we got onto the show about, with regards to impaired, blood alcohol level.
Yeah.
A lot of misnomers out there
There
about
sure are.
how much somebody can consume before they're driving. I mean, the best rule of thumb, if you have any, don't drive, period. You're done,
Don, I can't agree with you anymore.
right?
Then there's no guessing.
Then there's no guessing.
There's no guessing. And the absorption of alcohol into every person is
Yes.
different.
Yes.
And so I can't come on here and tell you,
No.
you can drink this, this, and this,
No.
and you'll be okay.
No.
You'll never hear me or any other police officer say that.
No.
And the other piece too is a lot of people think, oh, well, I've been drinking tonight, I've slept for 4 or 5 hours, I'm good to drive
The
in the
morning
morning.
after.
We arrest more
Yeah.
people in the morning for impaired,
Yeah.
and they are so surprised because they say, well, I was drinking last night. Well, you know what? Absorption rates
Stays
are
in your
very
system.
different for every person. So if you're drinking the night before, you know,
Yeah.
you need to really make sure,
York Regional Police this past spring did a
guess your BAC.
Yeah, guess your BAC.
Yes.
And when I was watching it, I mean, you had people of all different shapes, sizes, male, female. There was nothing across the board
Nope.
that you could say, this is how many drinks each person can have
No, you
before. Some people at one.
And they're impaired.
They were impaired.
Yeah.
Some people at 5 or 6, they weren't.
Yeah.
Now, they said they didn't feel impaired, yet they blew into the register
Right.
and
see, there's
they
two
did.
different charges too. So there's
Okay.
impaired driving,
Okay.
which is when your behaviors and your driving actions are impaired.
Right.
Your ability to operate the motor vehicle
Yes.
is impaired. But then there's also our legal limits, which is over 80.
Okay.
So potentially there could be 2 charges if you are arrested for impaired driving.
Oh, okay.
So if you are arrested for impaired driving, you're going to be brought back to a police station and requested to provide a breath sample.
Right.
And if your breath sample is over the legal limit, legal limit of 80, you'll also be charged with an over 80 charge.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So
there's two charges. And that takes into account those people that you're talking about who have potentially maybe had a lot to drink, but you can't see it right away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're still over the legal limit, or they could still be impaired, or both.
Right.
So, like you said, the safest number of drinks if you're driving is zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
End of story. There are so many services out there now to get you home.
So, we go back to there's no excuse.
There isn't.
Designated drivers.
Yep.
It's easy.
Yep.
It's, if you're hosting a house party, that's easy too.
Yep.
I can tell you in our own house, if you want to come into our house and have a glass of wine, you're more than welcome to. And I'll give you your keys back if my wife says it's okay to.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Well, yep. When people come in my house, who's driving home?
Yep.
Tell me who's driving home. We put it on a board, and I check. Okay. And as a host in your own home, it's your responsibility to ensure that when people leave your house, that they're safe to drive.
I don't think that people necessarily know that I didn't anyways.
Yeah.
That you as the host, you carry the liability card for everybody that leaves your house.
Yep. Yep.
That's a huge responsibility.
It is. Yep. There's an expectation that if you are hosting, that you will ensure that when people leave your residence, that they are safe to be driving.
Yeah.
So,
as a host, make sure that people have a safe way home.
Yeah. It's, you know what, just do a little bit of planning ahead of time. Just planning.
Sure.
There's Uber, there's Keys to Me, there's so many opportunities out there. Taxis. I mean, the taxi companies are incredible.
Yeah.
Make the plans ahead of time and just get home safely. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
And especially now, right, in the holiday season, I mean, you tend to do a lot more socializing.
Yeah.
Everyone's already in that festive, and maybe there is a bit more wine.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yep.
Keep it controlled.
Keep it controlled, and make sure that if you are drinking, you're not driving.
Make sure that you have a good plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit because we were talking about distracted driving, and on top of distracted driving, pedestrians.
Yeah.
Drivers aren't the only ones that are distracted. You and I had the opportunity of chatting with you when school was first launching this year, and we were talking about the little kids and how, not just little kids, kids of all ages.
Yeah.
And how they're distracted. It's not just students that are distracted.
No, it's everybody. Everybody. If you take a drive along any of our busy roads in York Region, I guarantee you will see several pedestrians walking, either looking at their phone or with earbuds in.
Yes.
And the earbuds are so dangerous because they completely block out an entire sense that we use to keep ourselves safe.
Yes.
And, in the winter, it's dark so much earlier, right?
Absolutely.
We got to make sure pedestrians are wearing bright clothing, reflective clothing. There's so much out there now that's fashionable, stylish.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't even see the reflective technology.
Talk to my granddaughter. Yeah.
It's incredible. There's no excuse to not be seen.
No.
Be visible, be seen. Earlier this year, we launched a pedestrian campaign where we've actually put decals out at intersections with just reminders to pedestrians. Make eye contact.
Yeah. Yes.
Reminding people to make eye contact because, as a pedestrian, if you've made eye contact with the driver, you can be pretty certain that driver is not going to continue driving into you.
Fair enough.
Right? It's a simple act of body language that is very strong. Stand back from the roadway. Stand back a couple inches. Make sure you're pressing the walk button to get your walk signal so that drivers know that there's going to be someone walking.
And don't be walking across the crosswalk.
No, put the
Heads down.
Put the phones down, please.
It's really no different than driving. I mean, if you're driving, phone down, phone away, in the glove box, in your holster, wherever it is.
Get rid of it.
But when you're walking, there's nothing wrong with stopping at the side. People can walk around you.
Yeah, it's the ultimate in multitasking, right? And unfortunately, that sometimes puts our safety.
That is who we are.
Yes, and that puts our safety at risk sometimes as pedestrians. So, it's no different than driving. Make your safety a priority when you're out on our roads, especially with all the snow, all the slush and the darkness.
Yeah.
Just and people have their toques on, and it's hard to see. So just put the phones down. Get rid of that one distraction.
Yeah, that's one thing we can get rid of, right?
Yes, for sure.
Keep the phones down.
Yep.
Control the alcohol, or keep at least have a backup plan.
Yep.
Right, and
Yeah.
keep how else do you keep your roads safe?
Yeah, we've all got to do it together. It's shared responsibility.
Thanks again for coming on.
Anytime.
Always great having you, and
Yes.
we will do this again.
You betcha.
Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Don Pratt, and this was another episode of Policing York Region. For more information on the show, rogerstv.com. For more information on York Regional Police, yrp.ca. Been great having you. I look forward to seeing you again.